Okay. Conservatives of Texas, we are here in Pleasant Valley. Some of you guys out there may remember we did a podcast with Hope and James and Miss Herring a couple of weekends ago. And tonight we're going to be meeting with a couple of candidates and just have a little conversation. Hope, tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. Hello, Pleasant Valley, River Road, and any other Amarilloans that might be listening. I'm Hope Castillo McCoy with Pleasant Valley River Road Initiative Group. We are trying to get noticed by the city of Amarillo, and we decided we'd have our community meeting and have some running candidates and an incumbent come out and speak with us and let us know, like, if they get placed or if the incumbent wins again, how can they help us out here in Pleasant Valley to keep our residents? Since our school is closing, we're fearful that we might start losing our young families to other parts of town because we no longer have an elementary. So we invited these candidates out to come out and help us and shine a little light out here on us on Pleasant Valley and River Road. We are at Assembly of God at 4413 Slope Drive. Starts at 7 p.m. And we welcome all of you to come out, even if you're not from the neighborhood.
Thank you, Hope, for doing this and
Yeah.
being proactive and loving on these children. So
Yes, that's our
Thank you.
That's our goal, is to keep our kids in an A-rated school, keep our community vibrant and growing.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
God bless you guys. And
Thank you.
I'm going to keep this running live. You guys, it's going to start at 7 p.m., but I wanted to run just a little test.
Thank you.
And we are
Thank
going
you,
to keep
Alex,
it going.
for coming out.
You're very welcome. Okay, guys. So I will keep the stream going for you. Y'all be patient, and we will be starting right at 7 p.m. Thank you guys again. Go grab you some snacks, get you some popcorn, whatever you need to get you in the mood. And we are thankful that you're out. All right, guys.
There was something to say. No, there's something. I guarantee I would show up as bad as the polls and some of these other people because they don't run a campaign. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. There's snacks in here if you want something before we get started at 7.
Okay, I might.
Yeah, there's drinks and little snacks. Make yourself at home. How are you doing, Nene? Thanks for coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just remind you,
Hey, what's up?
I know. I tried.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Hi. Hi, Bill.
Michael, how you doing, sir?
Are you
Nice to meet you. I see you everywhere.
President of Pleasant Valley?
Yeah.
Last time you had a different guy.
There's only one, when there's only one of me, it's kind of hard to be everywhere, but I don't think nobody else can do more.
Are you originally from Missouri?
Oh, no, I'm originally from Florida.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was stationed in Fort El Paso, had a job in La Pasas,
Yeah.
and then they asked me to come up here, which there was more upward mobility supposedly, so I came here.
Well, glad you're here. You do great work, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What's up, Bill? You very well. I mean, hey, what's up, Bill?
Oh, man, I talked to Luke
Just the other
yesterday.
day over there by the camera, actually, but,
I didn't realize he was 21 until I started talking to him. Then I knew he was 21.
To be fair, I think the phone, the TV noise, first time I ever seen him.
hey guys, how are y'all?
He told me that like a long time ago. But you know what?
We'll see.
I respect anyone at 21 years old.
How does it sound? So,
Things have changed.
But when I asked him about the water, you know, how we provide water, he started talking about federal lakes. I was kind of like, yeah, that ain't how we get on water. But he seemed like a nice guy. And he did have an important point that I think all citizens can agree with. There are not enough sidewalks to walk to places.
There's not.
I mean, not a left or right issue. It's a quality of life issue. Quality of life issue. Money runs out. Some people are saying, we start to let it rain for April.
Yes, there's some around the corner. There's sun shining.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Yeah.
On you. Pretty incredible. Just asked me to be the
I thought maybe you had already wrote it.
Well, I wrote one story on it. It's just like
No, it's okay.
since they hired you. I wrote the story based on what
Some of the rules are right. Sometimes I just get nervous. The phone's next to it, I don't want it to echo. You know what I
I didn't even
Look nice.
Oh, so she's your right hand woman?
I don't know for sure. I'm just putting my Bible here.
For the church. Yeah.
I can't take anything. I know a lot about Israel. It would not look good to me to take anyone in. Why? Well, I'm gonna stand up. You burn more calories standing than sitting.
What are you doing?
Well, true. How are you?
You don't get that. You don't get this good without.
You're right on camera. Say something.
Hello, how are you? I'm getting up. We're all doing a problem.
Justin. Have you what?
Share it to your page.
Oh, yeah, you were in the military.
And then I.
No, I'm not saving it. You have them
Hey, Hope. Miss McCoy. Miss Hope.
Yes.
Can you check your Can you check your page and make sure that you can wear it?
Hello there.
Hey, what's up, Pamela? Okay, good. All right. We're good to go.
She's talked about sitting up the bus so we can see where our tax dollars are going.
I did a few.
There's some things that I've already found from digging that I'm like, what? Let's hear something.
What's up, Leif? 6'5".
Somewhere around there.
You probably shrunk a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on which reviews I'm walking out with.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just now realized you just saw.
You know that.
Maybe I was right heels last time.
What? I don't know what you're. pretty clueless. I stay in my own like tyrannical rants.
Story is, you get on this. If you want to talk to her like one day, I ain't going to if you want to. I'll just.
You want water for water?
I'm sorry, I sent you a text, but are you able to hear it now?
Still hangover on the
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of traffic going through there now. Doing well. Dad will be back. He's out here.
We're streaming something.
Okay, yeah.
He's got a lot of mowing to do. Arizona, they got yeah, I'm still. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's. Right. Yeah. So they shut down.
Hey guys, this is Pam Monopoly. Y'all need to get out here. This is an awesome place. You know where it's at? Where you're welcome to be here. We'd love to have you. Thank y'all.
I've been wondering what they
Hey guys, we're talking about the issues going on in Pleasant Valley. We're going to have a panel talking about everything. So get out here if you're concerned. Yes, it's 44. What's the address? 4413 Slope. So go ahead and come out here and we're going to just talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she jumped in. She cuts me off. Thank you.
Not because we're in the church. I think my seminary
Hey, you people. I got to tell you, there's an old quote from an old president. The world is run by those who show up. And only by getting involved is your voice heard. So I encourage you to come out and join us. And most of all, make sure you vote. My mentor used to say it all the time.
Oh, really?
And he's dead, so I can't ask him. He died on me. I really wish he did.
All right, guys. About 10 till.
No, but I saw you. I mean,
I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed that politicians
I'm not.
I'm talking about state. You always have something.
like today at the
Already asked.
Yeah. I go to that meeting all the time. Pertaining to Pleasant Valley, where they all say, So the first time I came, I was scared. The second time I came, I see y'all play games. They're all Oh yeah, me too. But I don't care. I'll still tell my one.
Way more blues.
I'm trying to find Leif.
I'm always like, how I really want to listen to You're definitely
I don't think that.
well, there's a lot.
Hello, thank you everybody for coming. Hello, thank you. If I could get the candidates to make their way up here in order of places, Tim Reid, Nune and Tom, and then Leif.
Leif.
Yes. You sit up there.
Alex.
We're pretty rough in college. No.
If you came up with Again, thank you all so much for showing up. If you've come up with a question so far, if you'll hand them to Chanel here, walking around, she'll gladly take them. We want to thank,
We don't get to ask them.
yes,
Okay.
yes, you may. Oh, okay, if you want to ask them, that's fine too. Okay,
You don't get
some people are afraid to speak in public, so if you have a question and you want one of us to ask it for you, we'll gladly do so.
Pass that one forward first so we can look at it.
Gotta do a quality check on that question.
We want to thank Pastor Balance and the congregation here of Assembly of God for having us here tonight, and he's going to open us up with a prayer.
Yeah, welcome to Pleasant Valley Assembly of God. We're so glad that we can help the community. Looking forward to tonight's presentation, hearing what the candidates have to say and see how we can improve Pleasant Valley. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for this community, Lord.
Watch this fridge test for fake olive oil.
Amarillo.
Oops. Excuse us, we're new to this.
We're not advertising olive oil, sorry.
Well, they're telling you how to recognize the fake olive oils.
Oh.
You're doing a good job.
Isn't it interesting how far state's willing to go to shut us down? With an olive oil ad.
Not forget.
Okay, here we go again.
Father, we just thank you tonight. We thank you for this community. We thank you for these folks that have come together. We thank you for these candidates that are endeavoring to serve our community. We just ask for your blessings on this service tonight. We invite your presence into this place. We pray that you would help us to be a light to Pleasant Valley. Lord, help us to hear your voice as you direct us in what needs to be done to improve our community, Lord. We love you and praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, in case you don't know, let me introduce our candidates tonight. For place 1, we have Tim Reid running. For place 3, we have Nune, Perez, Incumbent Tom Scherlen. For place 4, Leif Kertis, and then for mayor, Misty Collier. We're going to let each one of them talk for a few minutes, and then we're going to have some of your questions for them. So we're going to start here with Tim Reid.
Do the pledge?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. That's all right. That's right. We're going to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for keeping me on course.
Well, good evening. My name is Tim Reid, and I'm running for place 1 City Council. And I appreciate you all for having us out here. To our my fellow candidates, if you haven't run for an office, a public office, you have no idea. This is the 6th time I've run, right? From school board to state senate, now the city place. And it does take a lot. And you're not always going to agree with a lot of the things that we have to say, or you may agree with most of them. Right. So I just say that I appreciate that you guys put your name on the ballot, and we're willing to serve. So I'm Tim Reid. You want to know a little bit about me? I'll go through kind of a resume little thing first, because there are some people here I recognize and know me, and there's most of you that don't. Presently, I'm the executive director at the Texas Panhandle War Memorial. I've been there 2.5 years. And it's a service that I'm giving back to our veterans in the community. Most people, if you've been by it, right, it's on Georgia. It's got the Huey and the Sabre F1 100 and the largest piece of the USS Arizona outside of Hawaii and Arizona. Kind of a neat memorial and an honorarium to our veterans. But when I took it over, I thought that it was important that we provided services for our veterans in the building. I had 15 empty offices. And within the course of a year, I had that filled with services for our homeless vets, for our disabled vets, and then just vets that are down on their luck and just need a little help from the community. And so it's changed the atmosphere of the memorial, and it actually gives something back to the community other than just a nice museum and pretty gardens to come to for ceremonies that we do there. So if you haven't been, come on out. Prior to that, I'm still teaching one class, but for 12 years now, I've been a teacher and an athletic director at Ascension Academy. I didn't have a teaching certification when I got retired from my first profession, and so I went the private school way, and it was a good thing for me as far as what really it worked, because they demand too many things on the public end for an educator, and I was a darn good teacher. Right, but 32 years I spent in law enforcement. I started out as a local police officer, and then a state trooper, and then with the FBI for 28 years. I spent 19 of those years here in Amarillo as a street agent. I was just telling somebody that as I drove up here, I started remembering a couple of cases that I had up here in Pleasant Valley, and one was a underground cockfighting ring. And, somebody remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. So that was me. Thank you. So that's kind of the biography. I'm running because I think that we need to have good, serious people that are willing to serve on the council. It was an open seat, okay? And I thought that I filled that thing. I had experience. I think my experiences are important to the job. With the FBI, I had 8 international assignments, diplomatic assignments, and I dealt with high officials of the countries that I was in. And so, as a council member, we're the eyes and ears, not only for the city manager, but for our citizens, right? We've got to be available for you to pick up the telephone, walk into wherever we work. I'm at the War Memorial. I gave it up, right? I get elected. All you have to do is walk in the front door and say, I've got a problem. I need to talk to you, because we have to be accessible to the public, because you're electing us for that representation. And I think that's the most important thing that a council member does. I mean, they're the jobs that the council member has to do, but the most important is being there for citizens so they have a place to voice their concerns and to be listened to. It's one thing to sit there and say, yes, 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 but to be listened to and actually take some actions and see what you can do to help that individual. Because local government, federally, everybody gets all excited about federal government and state government. Local government's the most important. It affects your life every single day. And you want to make sure that you have good people that are representing you. You only have 5, and you want to make sure that you have good people representing you. And I'm sure you're going to have some questions, and we'll answer those directly. But, I appreciate it if you get out to vote, that for place 1, you think that you will vote for me, and I would appreciate that vote. Thank you. I think you're going to, well, you could probably do it from there. It's long enough.
No worries.
Oh,
It's a stress body.
yeah, I know.
You relax a little bit. Yeah. Well, some of y'all met recently and throughout the endeavors of walking through just anywhere and everywhere in the forums. My name is Nune Perez. I'm actually currently running for place 3. I'm a candidate. A little bit about myself. I'm a 6-year Navy veteran. Served honorably in Washington, D.C. for my first tour. And then I did a tour in Misawa Air Force Base, Japan. It's interesting enough that when I picked the orders, they just told me it was in Japan, and that's all they told me. They didn't tell me exactly where in Japan. In the military, I was actually law enforcement in the military, served alongside several federal agencies. Diplomatic security services was one of the big ones. I got to do a lot of security with Secret Service. I actually do a lot of deployments with Secretary Rumsfeld at the time, and even President Bush Sr. and Jr. When they had certain speaking events, or when President Bush Jr. would like to go run the mall in the morning at 1 in the morning. There were several of us in nice, beautiful Navy pajamas and running around, but we also were armed, which is hilarious. Part of the crowd. One thing that I look at is I actually spent some time before I even came here. I actually drove around the area. I actually went to the park because I actually was at work all day and I just needed to just walk. And this place reminded me so much of where my family is originally from, which is actually South Texas. Carrizo Springs. The houses are just the layout is so, it's country, but it's a city. I mean, you got enough space to breathe and move around. Not hear your neighbors sometimes. And it was just peaceful and serene. I stand by it whenever I look at it. This area up here, it definitely needs some help. Especially hearing about Pleasant Valley, I looked at it even more. I started looking more. A lot of it is because of unfortunate past councils not acting in what they promised on when they first annexed Pleasant Valley. Keeping that promise. And those are the kinds of things that we have to look for, is actually keeping the promise that we make. Current councils and previous councils will always say, that there's a previous council that made that promise. Well, we got to keep it anyways. We made that to the people, to you. We work for you. Simple as that. Yeah. We're there for you. We're not there to work as a governing body over you. We're there representing you all. There's a lot of things that can be done, and honestly, it's a very tall order. It really is. We have a budget we have to stick to. Sometimes it takes something, you have to be genuine about it. Much as Tam had pointed out, sometimes the decision you have to make is a hard decision. But we have to have that fortitude to be able to step here, come to community just like here, just like this, and say, you know what? This is why we couldn't do this. This is what we need to do to get there. Actually answer to you face to face, not wait for a city council meeting. If we need to come out here in between, then that's what we need to do. We need to go to the community, not the community come to us. And that's evident when you come this way. I mean, it's still to this day where you don't get a lot of people coming to the north.
No, you don't. No.
I mean, I go to the boulevard a lot. I'm well-rounded for a reason. I like the food. There's a lot of food trucks. And I very much enjoy the area, just the livelihood, the environment, and the people. You make this community. And when it comes to helping the community, we're not here to take away your way of life. One thing is we need to invigorate your way of life, because that's what y'all are here for. You are all unique in your own neighborhood. We should showcase that to anyone that wants to move here. Like, you know what? Some people may want to live right next door to each other in cookie cutter houses. Some people may not. And that's the thing we have to be able to market for anyone coming in, especially for the growth that we're expecting up here in the north. And that's the one thing we have to make sure that is maintained. That's the one thing I promise, is to ensure that you don't lose that image of yourself, especially up here. You're very proud because of that. And hands down, this is one of the best communities. I very much enjoy coming up here. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Ron Scherlen. I'd like to commend all these people. I think all of them are qualified to do the job. Even David back here. I appreciate anybody that's running, because
Can I join that?
Yes.
I have 15 on my notes.
No,
So I apologize. Thank you.
now this isn't coming out of my time. Is it?
I stopped
You
it.
stop.
No, keep it going again. Keep it going.
Anyway, I wanted to tell y'all I'm running for re-election. I've served the last 2 years. I've been out in Pleasant Valley a number of times. I walked that creek through Pleasant Valley because it seems to be flooding a lot, and we need to work toward getting that fixed. And a lot of it has to do with what we've done throughout the city, bringing all the water north. Okay, so we're going to have to handle that. I do know we're talking with the state now, trying to get that done. But anyway, I've enjoyed being out here. I enjoy the people out here. Y'all are independent thinkers. I like the way y'all think, and we're always available to be taught. I probably put in, I'm retired, I probably put in 40 to 50 hours a week, meeting in neighborhoods, meeting with citizens. I've gone out and looked at alleys that had busted sewer lines, everything. That's what it takes. Responding to the public that elected me to it. Every other week I host a town hall, I call it, or meet the councilman, whatever you want to call it, but I do it every other week. And I do know when I offer those meetings, I do know they're not coming to tell me I'm doing a good job. They're usually coming to tell me there's a problem. And I listen to it. We do what we can do and do the things I can do. I won't promise something I can't commit to. I might tell you, well, let me see on it, and then I'll call you back and what we're going to do. But every part of Amarillo is important. We're all citizens of the same city. We should all be working together instead of against each other. So as we go forward, let's see what we can do. I do know I have quite a few ideas that we could help the Pleasant Valley community. And as the night goes on, maybe I can lay those out where y'all can hear it. Y'all might like it. You might not like it. I don't know. We'll throw that up to y'all. But anyway, I appreciate the invite to come out here. I appreciate the time that y'all are giving, because the most important thing that you have in your life is time. And you didn't have to come out for your community to listen to this tonight, but I appreciate you doing it. Tom, Scherlen, thank you.
You want to let David go since he plays 3 also?
Sure.
Don't joke.
Don't hang me.
Until after this.
Yeah, just the week before.
Well, I apologize. The invite I had said 7:15, so showing up late is not always positive. But thank you for having me. And what a race this has been. My gosh, my wife and I, she's in the back. We look back and 90 days ago we signed up for this, and what a bare knuckle brawl that this has become. For many of you that don't know me, I came to Amarillo in 1990, went to school at WT, got a degree in environmental science and biology, and I started a company called Talent LPE, and we do groundwater work and remediation. The company's been very successful for us. We have offices throughout Texas, New Mexico, and historically we've had offices in Colorado and Oklahoma. The company took off in 07 through 09. Is there a time? What's the time on it?
You get about 5 minutes.
Okay, great. So, well, this is the best one we've had. Because normally it's like, like 45 seconds. Yeah. So, okay, great. Did that count against me? Is this count against me? Yeah. Okay, I'll get going. So, anyways, got an MBA from WT. I love WT. WT. Every decade of my life, I've gone to school at WT. I got an MBA in business, so I would know what the numbers look like. You know, we were science guys. We started the business, and it taught me how to really analyze and look at budgets. Ended up getting an MS, Master of Science in Environmental Science. And I'm very happy to say I've got 3 more days to finish my coursework for my PhD in Ag Science and groundwater at WT. So what is Plan B for David? It's to teach at a university level. And in my second career, as I want to give back. I think self-actualization is the highest piece that we can get, and when we give back, as we all are doing here, you know, that is a good thing. Was on the Boy Scout board for 13 years. Really challenging. I was chair of the board for the Golden Spread Council during the sexual lawsuit that everyone heard about. We were successful in settling that lawsuit and keeping 17 unique organizations in Texas and Boy Scouts together. And well, that was a very trying time, but we were successful. The victims were compensated adequately, and also served on the Amarillo Area Foundation, which is the largest community-based group in the Panhandle. We support the entire top 26 counties. And for 8 years, I was on that organization. And for 2, I was chair of that organization. We have a $330 million budget. And it was really cool to be on that board because we would see what was happening all the way from Perryton to Hereford, Dalhart to Childress, in the epicenter of the Panhandle, which is Amarillo. Being a environmental scientist professional, I was that the pinnacle, either you're going to be a professional engineer or you're going to be a professional geologist. I'm a geologist, a professional geologist. And in 2013, I was appointed by Governor Rick Perry to serve on the Texas Board of Professional Geoscientists. It's a 6-year term. So in 2013, I was appointed by Perry. 2019, I was appointed by Governor Abbott. Once again, in 2023, Governor Abbott appointed me to be the chair of that organization, giving me really, really strong experience on how things work in Austin and how to move through that process. Amarillo has some significant issues with wastewater. We've heard a lot about the Hollywood Road Plan, but what about the River Road Plan? What are we looking at here? Tom just mentioned we have some wastewater drainage issues here. If there's anybody that is running right now on council that has the knowledge to work with the TCQ and work with infrastructure, it's David Prescott. I've 30 years plus, that is what I have been doing. It's not chasing other things. It is strictly for water, wastewater, and infrastructure improvements. Are infrastructure improvements sexy? No, they're not. Do you want a wastewater treatment plant named after you? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there's other things that you could have things. Now, I'm not looking for anything to be named after me, but I'm just saying we have to take care of the foundation of our city. And it has been many decades that we have been kicking this can down the road. And we have to get to a point where we can build these wastewater treatment plants out, where we are working on infrastructure. Because what happens if we are at 82% capacity? We have 12 million gallons at Hollywood Road. We have 9 million gallons that are going through right now, maybe a little more. What happens if a Boeing comes here? What happens if Bell wants to expand? Those are really good jobs. Those are jobs that change communities. And are we going to tell them, no, you can't come here because we can't add any more capacity to our wastewater treatment plants? That's unacceptable. Why is all of the growth that is happening in Amarillo occurring outside the loops? Because you can put a water well in and you can put a septic system in. You are not tying into the city infrastructure because the city infrastructure cannot support it. That's what I'm running on, is the basics. There's nothing. I do not support a 39% tax increase, which you have seen 100 times in every mailer or text. Absolutely not. 100% false lies. But at the end of the day, let's take care of the infrastructure. Let's continue to take care of the roads. Let's be business friendly and develop our communities where we can live the American dream. And I'm David Prescott, and I'm running for place 3. Okay, coming over.
Good. Evening. My name is Leif Kertis, City Council candidate for place 4. Man, where to begin? First of all, what a showing of your community. I mean, just look around to see how many people care. The people who can't be here doesn't mean they can't care, but you got to sit down. But that's my daughter. Just so everybody knows, that's my daughter. I'm not talking crazy to somebody's kid. But I'm originally from Allen, Texas. I moved there when there was less than 8,000 people there, so I'm not some big city kid. My family is actually one of the only ones left from that time period that are still there. My parents are still there. Amarillo got me off the farm in East Texas in 2008. Originally, I was recruited of all things at 6'5", 245 pounds for a bowling scholarship here at WT. I did end up playing football here at WT for a little bit, bowled as well, a collegiate bowler, all while getting my degree. I got my degree in criminal justice administration. Felt that I didn't get enough punishment the first time around, so I went back for an MBA. And then again, I like my lashing, so I went for an MS in finance and economics as well. The degree I'm currently pursuing is in Master of Arts in Christian Studies from Denver Seminary. My hope is that the businesses that I have, which I own 3 businesses here in Amarillo, construction business, coaching, consulting business, and then a sports entertainment business. My hope is that that business funds my mission work once I pseudo retire here in about 10 to 12 years. At least I'm hoping, right? To be able to go out and spread the word of Jesus. And that's my ultimate goal. And that brings to the point of like, who do we serve? First and foremost, we're always going to serve the Lord. You'll hear me say in a lot of interviews, the only time that I've ever been bought is by the blood of Jesus. And then the second is by your votes. Ultimately, we work for you all. That's from Pleasant Valley all the way down to the South City lines, to the east, to the west. The Amarillo citizens and taxpayers are ultimately who we answer to here in our earthly bodies. Now, what does that mean for you all as Pleasant Valley residents? Growth is coming, right? And the fact of the matter is that your community, you have worries, you have concerns, because let's face it, for 65 years now, you've been ignored, right? I mean, I'm a bad politician, okay? I'm just going to tell y'all right now, I'm a bad politician. You're going to hear what I think and you're going to hear what I feel for most instances. I try to kind of curtail things, but you're going to get an honest truth from me. And you've been ignored for the past 65 years. Let's just face it. Yes, the things that we're hearing, hey, when we annexed you, it wasn't in code to have sidewalks. It wasn't in code to have this drainage, this, that, and everything else. Cool. We're in 2025 now. How about we work on that, right? So what I'm getting to with that is for Pleasant Valley, it's an issue that's been put on the back burners for 65 years. I can't sit here and promise you that I'm going to be able to take care of it in 2. But what I can promise you is that I'm going to come up with a plan, right? With your input. That's the important part, is what is your input? We're not going to try to throw money at you to get you to shut up, to go away, or whatever else, perception that you might feel out of it. I want to sit with you. I want to get the pulse of the community. What do you really want to see? What worries you? How do you think that it needs to be fixed? Having an advocate that is actually going to listen to you on council. And when I say that, don't hear me say that they're not doing it for you right now. I haven't been here in those conversations, so I don't know. All I can tell you is what I'm going to do is that I do plan to have pulse of the community type meetings, to where I'm in North Heights, to where I'm in Pleasant Valley, anywhere and everywhere on off weeks. What do you really want to see, right? What can we advocate for? Because I mean, really, this is just me, coming off the farm. Who wouldn't want to live out here, right? I mean, space, good neighbors, a good community that clearly cares. Why aren't we leaning into that character of what you all offer, enhancing it as a city, and making sure that when we're having people come in, that they're also trying to enhance that? Why haven't we been asking the Amazons, those people, hey, you're getting a tax abatement, how about you throw some money so that way we can put it into our communities that need it, right? That's just a few little things. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to get someone who's genuine with me, who wants to see everybody succeed, because when all of Amarillo is doing well, all of Amarillo is doing well, right? And not to keep beating the dead horse, but to make sure that you all are taken care of and that you at least feel heard and cared about. Because at the end of the day, you're humans, you're my neighbors. I have to look you in the eye as another creation of God and be able to answer to you and to the Lord about how I treated you. So with that, I hope that when it comes time that you'll cast your ballot for place 4, Leif Kertis. Hope to see y'all out there. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Misty Collier. I'm running for mayor. Let's see, where to start. I grew up in this community my whole life. I went to St. Mary's, I went to Trinity, then I went to Tascosa. When I went to AC, I did business administration. I was on student government, and then I did an internship with Walt Disney World. When I came back, I finished my school through Full Sail University in music. One thing I was really impressed with this community was y'all had a young man holding a sign, and I was flipping through Facebook, and that's why I got involved in politics, because we have a generation that needs to have good leadership, and they need to rise up and start taking some of these positions, and that's so encouraging that happened. When I first got started, I ran for place 2 against Don Tibbs, and I lost. And I was not discouraged, actually. What I realized was there was 180,000 people not voicing their opinion. And what I mean by that is 180,000 people weren't voting. And people believe that they don't have a voice, and they do. And I love the fact that this community has gotten together and that y'all are actually trying to have a voice. That is a beautiful thing. When I got involved, I was very concerned with some things that were going on with our children. And I got involved, heavily involved, because I want those things to stop. And I made some contacts down south. So I have a friend, her name's Holly. I know y'all are interested in the vouchers. This woman, she has been fighting the school system for about 4 years now, and different issues because she's concerned. One of those is the vouchers. So if you want a woman to take you line by line and tell you what's good and what's not good, you let me know and I'll connect you with her. And she's friendly and loving, and she will help anyone. And she has gone down to Austin and she has fought for your rights just like I have fought for your rights. And I know y'all don't know me, but I have been fighting for your rights for 2 years. And whether I'm mayor or I'm not mayor, I'm gonna keep fighting for your rights. But I'd be honored with your vote, and I appreciate you all coming out. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Yay. That's what a mayor looks like right there. Just come behind you.
The only candidate in the room for mayor.
Okay, so from the community, who has a question that wants to come up? Come on in.
I don't want to come up, I can talk loud.
All right.
Can we see the question first?
Anyway, my question is to everybody, raise your hand if you know that there's only one alley in the valley. Only one deeded alley. Yeah, we live on it. And right now, we actually had rain that's cut gutters in it,
It's a little ravine.
and it needs to be repaired.
It's a ravine. It's a ravine now.
And where the dump truck goes through, because the dumpsters can actually go through our alley and pick up our trash. We're the only ones left in the valley that have dumpsters, because, like I said, we're the only alley in the valley. And the thing about the curbs and sidewalks, it'd wipe out all of our front yards. There's no way to put curbs and gutters if you look actually in the valley, in the streets. And so my question was, and y'all answered it, nobody knew. There's no alleys in the valley except one. See, that was a simple question. You thought I was gonna give you a hard one.
Well, I'm first.
Sure.
Okay.
How do you fix the alley in the valley?
Well, I gotta see this alley. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I did not know.
right.
And that is, how do we fix it? How do we get it, I guess, drainage correct? And then how are we gonna get curb and guttering? Does curb and guttering need to be done? It doesn't sound like we want
We
it.
don't want curbs
You
and
don't want
gutters
curb and
because
guttering.
it'll wipe out our front yards.
All right, so that's an easy fix,
But
right?
the streets do need to be repaired where you don't fall off in the bar ditches.
Absolutely, safety in the streets, 100%. And if there's a drainage issue and we're having erosion issues in the alley, which I would love to know where the alley is, 'cause I'm gonna check it out now. I've lived in the city for 35 years.
It's between 5200 block of Mountain,
Okay,
between that and Quincy, between Mountain and Quincy.
okay. And so I assume that the rest of the solid waste is being picked up in the front with the,
No.
no? Tell me about that. What's
No,
going
the
on?
people across the street have
Poly
the
carts.
little push carts.
We have
Poly
poly
carts.
carts.
Okay,
Some of us don't like it.
yeah,
The
yeah,
ones that live on the alley, my sisters and I.
okay, all right,
Probably 6 other houses, we have dumpsters.
okay.
And we couldn't use those dinky little things. They're not big enough to put squat in.
No, you can't. And I agree 100%. One of the best things about Amarillo has been able to use the alleys, the dumpsters in the alley, because you can get rid of stuff and it works really well. So the first thing, why has that alley not been fixed? And it's very hard as an
Because
individual.
we haven't complained.
Well, you're complaining right now, and you got ears. Whoever wins, you've got
You got one
folks.
sitting here.
Yeah. I mean, Tom's been here 2 years. But let me say something on this. This is fantastic. This is a fantastic question. So for the last 90 days, like I said earlier, I've learned so much about the city that I've lived in for 35 years. And I've learned that it's not just here, it's all over, the deficiencies that have occurred. And it's not fair to say that its existing council has caused these deficiencies. That's not fair. It is an overarching lack of resource allocation correctly. And it is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So why has that alley not been fixed? That's not something that's going to break the budget.
Nobody knew it was there.
Well, yeah,
We know now.
We know now.
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. And having conversations like this is going to allow us to fix these problems. Now, does anybody not want to fix that alley? David Prescott wants to fix that alley. I'm sure there's multiple people that want to fix that alley. I bet Tim Reid wants to fix that alley. I mean, why would we not? If the funds are there, why would we not allocate them to fix the alley? It is very important to hear that you don't want curb and guttering. So as the community speak and there's voices and representation and we bring really good dialogue, why can't that make change? That's what America's set up on. We all pay our taxes. How are we going to make a change that really moves the needle for our communities? How do we make it safer? If these roads haven't been repaved, that's not safe on our cars. That's not safe on our kids running out there. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's not the roads haven't been patched.
Patched, right?
It's
Okay.
the fact we have more ditches than you fall off in them.
Well, that needs to be fixed then. If that is in the purview of the city, then we need to make sure that that gets fixed. Now, can I promise you immediately that's going to be fixed? I won't make that promise because I don't know. But we can sure take a look at it and we can get it in the queue to start that process. And you deserve that. Every citizen in Amarillo should have a voice. Is it from the infrastructure? Is it from the roads? What is the city supposed to be doing for a citizen? It's wastewater. It's clean water. It's safe roads. It's the disposal of waste. It's a good police force, and it's a fire force. A fire department that's going to take care of us and keep us safe. No one should be excluded from that. And if we don't know about it, and I don't know if you've told folks about this, 90 days, I've signed my name up, I'll throw my name in the hat, but I can promise you that every one of these issues that doesn't make sense, it's not logical, why have we not fixed it? And that would be how I would answer that. But it would definitely resonate, and it needs to be looked at. It's not right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tim, want to take a shot at it? Sure. Okay. I'm gonna have to limit you guys to 2 minutes, sorry.
Okay, I know, I'm a little wordy sometimes.
Oh, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. It's okay, go.
What you're talking about is revitalization. And if you look around this city, we have a lot of areas that have not been attended to. And you can blame it on resources. You can blame it on past city councils. Right? And you can't blame it on this last council or necessarily, you can't. Right? Because 2 years that you're in the council doesn't give you much time to get anything done. Okay? So the first thing is you have to address the issue. What's the issue? Right? That's where the conversation happens. You have to have the conversation with the people that live in the community. Right? If you don't have that, you don't know what the issues are. Then you have to look at your monetary situation, where money's going, what can be reallocated, and then it's reallocation of resources, right? So everybody thinks that the council by themselves can do major things. They can't. I can have the greatest idea that you've given me. I've got to get 2 people on the council to agree with me that it's a good idea, because you got to have 3, right? And if you don't have those 3, it doesn't work, right? So the city manager, who's paid an awful lot of money, manages all of the programs in the city. He's responsible for those things. That's where the council comes in, to be able to go to the city manager and say, look, we've got this issue up there, and that is something that we need to address. Just last night, I explained to the group we spoke to, what made John Ward such a great city manager was at the beginning of the year, he sat down with every council member and said, what is your main issue that you want to accomplish this year? And he got those. And that's what he addressed. He understood how it works because we have limited resources, right? Development is coming north. We can't skip over these north areas of Amarillo that have been neglected all these years and build something shiny and new north of here because we want to have it here. And so we have to start looking at how we reallocate the resources we have to what the issues are in these areas of town.
It was interesting to hear about the alley in the valley. I feel like we're running a Dr. Seuss level right now. Interesting concept that you have, because you said there are actual dumpsters in this alley. So that means the city knows of the alley because they are the owners of those dumpsters. One interesting thing is that when I first started running for office, I actually was stopped by city employees in a tube tunnel. And a very interesting conversation was that they asked me, why are we in these areas of our community, but we're not in our own community working on repairing those areas? Much like the instance here, you have a ravine where there's dumpsters that you're trying to. It's interesting to hear our own city employees making those comments. They see it. They work for the city. They probably have a stronger voice and say, hey, you know what? Hey, boss man, I got to get work on my area. It's a mess. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, they have more of a direct line exactly what they see on the ground. So that comes back to accountability. When it comes to correcting the issue, there is really more of an accountability on the city manager to ensure that his department heads are actually not only hearing those complaints, but actually following through and coming up with devising that plan and sticking to that plan and ensuring that we have that taken care of. You have to have that. We all pay taxes for a reason. Those taxes have to be allocated throughout the community, not just certain areas. We can't deploy our staff in certain areas. We have to be very balanced where we're at. I mean, we're a community at large. Simple as that. I mean, this is as far as the curbs and the sidewalk, I honestly didn't know a lot. But the more I drive around, like I said, I took an extra hour before I came in. I drove even more around more of the neighborhood. It honestly didn't make a lot of sense for curbs and sidewalks when I was driving around. But what did make sense is an actual study of looking at the water, the drainage, how it actually works, and actually building it and scaping that kind of drainage through the environment that we have here. And building up those low points in that infrastructure, those areas to ensure that we don't have bad issues going underneath the asphalt, breaking in the asphalt. That's what we have to focus on and ensure that we don't get rid of that image that's called Pleasant Valley.
Good job.
I work for the city. I work for the street department. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we do not have a voice.
Right.
It is a pure dictatorship.
Yep. Yep. Not in the current council, yes. Well.
We're told what to do. If we argue.
I don't know why I got stopped too.
Can I respond? Sure.
Do they ever,
If
the
you,
grid, do they ever get the roads? I have a place out in the country as well, and we get really deep. But do they ever? Grade, that's what I'm saying. I kept thinking grid. They don't ever grade it?
No.
Okay, that's what needs to, that's what needs to be established, yeah.
That's the county.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
it's my turn.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you would call me, you'll have a voice. I promise you. I have worked with quite a few city employees that have pointed out problems that they're having, either with their supervisor or further up the line, and I have addressed those issues. So always feel free to call me. My phone number is the phone number that's listed in City Hall is my cell phone number.
I don't work for the city, but I'm his wife. And I know on a weekly basis, at least one employee gets fired from the street department almost every single week.
Okay?
Because they opened their mouth.
If they would come to me, I would never put anybody's name to it, but we'd get it fixed. I can promise you that. When it comes to alleys, I've dealt with a lot of alleys. I didn't know we had one alley out here. I've been out here a lot of times, especially walking through the creek trying to get this water problem. Because y'all have a massive water problem.
Well, we live on the top of the mountain, so the water all runs off.
Oh, it runs off of you. Okay. That's what causes it. That's what causes the ditch, doesn't it? Yeah, but anyway, always feel free to call or come to one of my town halls and express yourself. Let me know what the problem. I mean, I take calls. I was in the hospital probably 5 weeks ago. I had a guy call me about a sewer. I'm laying there in bed. We got it fixed. But these are the things. Y'all are well on your way. Y'all got a committee right here. And if you put a plan together, and I wouldn't mind sitting down with you, working with you to get it done. But if you put a plan together, we'll take it to City Hall. And then we can do some things such as we possibly could make a tiers zone out here. We have an east tier zone. We have a downtown tiers, which a tiers is a tax reinvestment zone is what it is. And what you do, you're going to get the money out of your area will come to your first thing after budget. So you will have money. I mean, for instance, over in East Amarillo, we put in 2 parks, or they put in 2 parks. We gave them their tax money. They get a percentage of all the tax. Then that neighborhood decides what they want to do with that money. And that they put in a park right off 10th Street. Then they helped put in the bug ranch out there. They provided the parking lot. So these are ways we can get money. And then also there's a way you can use a pit, which that's a public investment district, which that puts a tax on yourself now. So you may not want that one. But the tiers is a good example of y'all being able to grow your community, put the things in your community you want, and you can sit down there and really go forward by improving your own community. I do know the North Heights tier zone, they're putting in a sidewalk, runs all the way down through the neighborhood. They did that. We gave them the money and they made the decision. That's the way government should work. Give it to you, it's your money. It's not my money, it's your money. So if you ever have a problem or if you ever need anything, pick up the phone and please call me. Because we've got to get to working together to get things fixed. And I would suggest y'all got a good group here. Start working a plan and make a plan and then work your plan. Because then we can go to City Hall, sit down with staff and see what we can get done. Thank you.
I think a big part of it is the power of the conversation, right? Because I've mentioned sidewalks and curbs, because the thing that I had heard from the couple of people I've talked to is we don't even have sidewalks and curbs out here, right? So I took that. I assumed it's a three syllable word, right? I obviously just did the first part of it out of myself, right? But that's the power of the conversation, right? We come in, we talk with y'all. What do you really want, right? I was living under the assumption that sidewalks and curbs were part of it, right? Drainage as well. Okay, sidewalks and curbs aren't in your list. What's in your list, right? So now that we know your list, what's the plan to move forward, right? We can blame and we can play that game all day long, right? We can go back for y'all 60 years to play that blame game. But what are we going to do to move forward, right? If we need to fix the alley, what's that plan to fix the alley? If we need to come out and do the drainage, what does that look like? We have development coming. We have Ports to Plains coming. What does that look like for your community? And what do we need to do to get ready for that? So one, you don't feel alienated. And two, the things that we need to do to grow as a community are in place before those come, right? We can't tie in new development to an aging infrastructure. We just can't, right? It's the same thing with the North Heights. So at some point in time, we're going to have to address that with y'all. And it's better now than it is later, right? So it always comes back and begs the question, what do you want? And just like Tom said, just like everybody else has said, we need to be able to have that conversation. Whether you come to us, I would prefer to come to these settings myself, just because you all feel more candid versus having to come to City Hall. And, I'm not saying you feel like you have to be proper, but a lot of times people don't feel like they can voice themselves at City Hall in those forums. So here, come stand up. Tell me how you feel. Yell at me if you want to. I've been called a lot of bad names. I worked for Edward Jones and I knocked on people's door asking about their financial information. I got called some names, folks. I can take it. Trust me. But yeah, just having these conversations, and I appreciate that about that. And allowing me to be wrong, but then allowing me to rectify it as well. So.
I'm gonna tell y'all some cold hard truth. So it's not actually your city council. So about 4 to 6 years ago, they, the globalists, the World Economic Forum, they sat down and they hired, or they didn't hire, I apologize. What they did was they called all the cities, all the city managers, and they had them come and they set them down at a conference. And they told them they were going to push an agenda by 2030 that had to be accomplished for every city in the United States. Okay? And so they told these city managers, you're going to do this, and you're going to do it because we're telling you to do it. And so now you have a city council that is working with city managers, and they're trying to fight what the city managers are doing. And this is what people don't really know that's going on. And that's a battle back and forth. So then you have citizens coming and asking, hey, I want this done and I want this completed, and I don't like this idea. And the council's trying everything they do to do the right thing, and they don't understand why the city managers are fighting them on every aspect. And that's what's going on. And that was all under the Biden-Harris administration. And praise God, Donald Trump got in, because he has stopped a lot of that agenda and he has fixed it. And now they can actually do their job. So I'm not gonna point it on them, because I've been fighting it for 2 years. And I have met wall after wall after wall trying to stop it. And praise God, he's going to stop it and change a lot of things. And then they're going to be able to do their job better. And as far as infrastructure, yes, ma'am, it's going to get handled. I promise. I went and talked to the water manager 2 days ago. He has a 50 to 100-year plan, and it's going to happen. And those things that are happening where they're not fixing the things that need to be fixed, and they're putting stuff in that, well, if I am elected mayor, I will make sure that that changes. Yeah.
Down to 450 years.
Yeah. Yes.
About fixing the infrastructure. How are we supposed to do that as city employee with the worn out, broken down equipment that is decades old?
So I will answer your question. I don't know if y'all know this, but they allotted the water manager $18 million. He doesn't need $18 million. He needs a whole lot more. So we're going to have to find waste and funds that are being allocated in the wrong direction, and they're going to have to be reallocated in the right direction.
So
and that's the answer to that.
$500,000 to Emma.
That's the answer to that.
They bought a few new dump trucks from the street department. The hydraulics aren't even strong enough to dump what's in the back of it.
Right.
Low bid. They got to back up, hit the brakes, and raise it at the same time.
As Tom stated earlier, you're not going to be able to fix everything. We don't have the money for that. But if we're responsible and we find money, we can reallocate things to better. And they have done some of that. I will say they have. I've been to every city council meeting. I've watched the hard work. Oh, thank you. Have a great day, sir. Here you go.
I'd like to have a chance to answer that, because the question came up post my time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's
Here
all
you
right.
go.
Thank you. You right now?
That's the question after the question.
Oh, well, I just.
Question off of that color question.
Well, I'd like to know, are we hooked up?
Yeah,
You're on me, I'm sorry.
Already
So what is leadership? What is management? How does a well-run company run? You hire the best people. You give them the best tools. This is your question. And you let you do your job. And you allow the team to grow together. The current council has got their hands in everything, every piece of the action. Should one individual receive every call from 200,000 citizens? Is that going to be effective? Or do we go to the department head and hold them accountable? Do we hold the city manager accountable? And there's repercussions if they don't respond. That's how you run a business successfully. If you have 2,400 employees, why are we buying equipment that is not adequate? Why are you not giving a voice to say this particular dump truck is not going to have the hydraulics, it's not going to have the strength to complete the mission that you need? Let's talk about the wastewater treatment plant. $800 million is what the basic cost is just for the Hollywood Road plant. What does that mean when we're at capacity on this? We have 19, and I'm going to mess the name up of the diesel engines. You're going to know what it is. Waukesha, what are the engines that have been put? Waukesha. So how many people know that the Waukesha engines are 1960 engines, and we can't even get the bearings or anything? And you, sir, are helping keep these plants alive. Your comrades in work are doing everything they can to keep this up. Why is this city not giving you the tools to be successful? Why are we giving you dump trucks that are not meeting the mission? Why do we have to call current council members on his phone for him to go save the day when we have 2,400 employees in this city with a $500 million budget that are not doing their jobs? Herb Kelleher, Southwest Airlines. Buy the best equipment, hire the best talent, and then govern and get out of the way and let the people do their jobs. That's what's wrong with this city. We got too many people trying to be the boss. You need to be able to do your job, and you need to be able to do it without repercussions.
Would anybody else like to answer his question? Okay. Next question. This is from the audience. It says, pet population. There should be a law against having a pet and not being responsible enough to spay and neuter them. There should be a stiff fine for anyone caught dumping an animal in the country. Animal cruelty is out of control. We know animal.
That's not a problem just up here.
No.
All right, it's all over town, and it is an issue, right? That's a department that has to be looked at to see who's managing it and how they're managing it. What are the resources they're given, and how do they use those resources? I mean that's a simple thing. The difficult thing is you can put fines on people. You have to come to collect it, and that's the problem. Collections are an issue. We see that in all areas where fines, whether it's parking tickets, traffic tickets as you're driving, a lot of them go unpaid. And so what's the power behind that if you don't pay it? And right now we don't see anything. There's no repercussion for not paying your obligation because you violated the law. So that all has to be looked at, and it, as David said, it's a management issue, right? Yeah. And it's too bad that the council has to get involved in stuff like that, because you hope that you have the right managers in their positions, and I think that's something that has to be looked at. I've never served on the city council, right? I don't know all of the inner workings of the city. Those are things that are going to have to be learned.
Tim, didn't you tell us that the head of the animal control is not trained in that?
No, that was.
Oh, you.
That was
Okay.
Leif. Okay. Yeah, no, that wasn't me. That was new to me last night.
Yeah, that was.
Right. So I mean that's an important issue, is who's leading this thing, right? Because once the city manager makes those selections and hires those people, they're responsible. And if they can't manage, get out of the way.
Get out of the
It's a real simple thing. Get out of the way. You know,
And
when
hold
I,
people accountable.
when I went up to West Virginia, I got transferred here on a promotion to work at an IT project. I had no background in IT, but they figured out very quickly, 4 months I was up there, and they gave me a promotion to run the whole thing, even though I didn't have a background in the IT, because they realized real quickly I knew how to manage people. And my theory was that. I hired good people. Why am I going to tell you what to do? Go do your job. Tell me what you need. And those departments are going to have to be looked at. You know, one of the problems is you never see the person who dumps the dogs, right?
I chased them.
You chased them, and did you get a license plate? Right? Yep. And then what happened? So that is the problem with the animal dumping is how often do you get to see it? You know, I don't know how many stories that you see on what is it, Your Neighbor or whatever it is, where they put the animals in the dumpster, and somebody by chance comes by and sees the animals. Well, you know, there's no way of catching those people unless somebody eyeballs it, right? And so that is a tough issue. The animal control has a tough issue, right? Because we have more animals than we have homes, right? And you know, what is the answer to that?
I'm going to say one thing about before. It's been about 4 or 5 years ago. The city used to have a drop off 24 hours a day. You could drop an animal off. Now you can only drop it off 4 days a week, and you have to have an appointment. So, you know, that's part of the problem right there is because they don't give us the ability to get rid of those animals.
Well, you know what you do on Monday? On Mondays, call there and make an appointment for Thursday.
On Mondays.
I'm making a joke of it, right? I mean, it's almost like you have to do that. You have to say, "Oh, I'm anticipating I'm going to find a dump dog, so I'm going to call down and make my appointment. So at least I have it,
Exactly.
right? And if I break the appointment, no big deal." Yeah, I mean, if that's how ridiculous it is, there's only. I mean, I hate it for you because you're the incumbent.
Okay.
Right, and so
I'm
you
good.
I mean, you have to give answers to this. We can only assume some things, right? Because we haven't been in that position and how things are working and why they're working that way, right? And you know, everyone here, the only thing we can say, and Misty has said it, we can guarantee you we're going to look into it, but that's all we can say right now.
Well, it changed when they went from animal control to animal welfare. It's changing the name, and then they changed everything else. So, you know, it should be animal control again, because that's what it needs to be. And,
You can answer it or
So,
you can-
yeah, interesting enough, one of my first qualifications, as it were, in the military was actually animal control and welfare. We kept both names. It actually is a very difficult job doing it. I mean, I did it in Maryland. If you've ever seen a black tree snake, they like to crawl a wall, and that's one of kind of the calls we got. So I'm used to dealing with rattlesnakes. I'm not used to dealing with a tree snake that's 3 stories up and on the wall, or python wrapped around pipes, those kinds of things. And yeah, there's a difficult job there. Like I said, that's some news for me that I learned from Leif yesterday was the qualifications for the people. When it comes to the management style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that wholeheartedly. Currently, I just got promoted to a sanitation manager at Cacique Foods. Prior to that, I was a quality operations manager. Before that, I was an operations manager. Before that, I was an assistant plant manager for a different facility. I've been just about everywhere. Managing people is an amazing thing if you give them the right tools. That's the biggest thing. You have to give them the right tools to succeed. If they don't have the right tools to succeed, how do you expect to get the results, exceptional results? And that's where it has to come. That's what it comes down to when it comes to animal welfare. It also comes down to them also saying, you know what, we're biting off too much that we can chew. We can't support this. An interesting thing from last night, I did not know there was a wild boar coming around in North Heights. I just found that out. And I saw the picture for myself, and I was rather shocked. We have a lot of animals up here, and it's not just domestic animals. You have to understand the environment, and everybody, we have to understand each other. And yeah, you can't police it all. Being law enforcement, you just can't police it. It is very, very difficult. We have to be able to figure out what that accountability is at the level and be available to support the community. And if animal welfare is not available, I mean, I heard last night, if I remember correctly, they were saying that, oh yeah, we're not, that's not our job. This is for dead animals. I mean, well, whose job is it? I mean, we have to be available for anything and everything. And we have to make sure that that service is provided. Y'all are paying that wage quite often with a lot of the taxes that we're paying on sales tax, anything and everything we're doing, property taxes, whatever it may be. They still have to provide a service. They should be available. And I really do feel that for Tom. He is, being on the council, he does get a lot of phone calls. I know he does. I do respect that out of him very much so, and I know many of us up here do. But it shouldn't come up to just a council member having to do it. It's not his job. He's not getting paid. I mean, trust me, the council, we're not getting up here for a paycheck. I can tell you that right now. We're here, and that's the problem. We actually pay managers in the city to handle those departments. If they aren't qualified, they do need to be replaced. Fortunately, we have a very young city manager, and that's where something he's going to have to start taking up on his own and filling out exactly who is there for the community and who's there for a paycheck. Yeah. And that's just the way it looks.
I will say one thing, animal management is one of our very weak areas, very bad. And in fact, we hired a company to come out and give us an evaluation on it. While we did that, we went ahead and installed cameras out there. We put cameras on our wildlife management.
Game cameras.
We can't put cameras so we could actually see, because we got a lot of complaints that some of our people were mistreating animals, doing this, doing that. And what we did, we wanted cameras put on our people so that if there was a complaint, we could pull the camera, we know what's going on. We installed cameras out at the animal shelter so we could see that the animals were being taken care of, not abused, all that. There's a lot more to do. As it goes back to what David said, and Nune management. We have a management that's the city's run by the city manager. He makes those decisions. What I am a convey to the city manager what the citizens are saying. That's what I do. I'll go and say, well, I heard this or I heard that, and we'll talk about it. And then if it goes further, we'll bring further staff in to discuss it. But we've got to make sure that if I've got a manager out there, I give the manager the power to do what he needs to do. I can't stand in his way. When I was running the company, I worked there 38 and a half years, and to be truthful, I told every one of my employees, if it makes sense, do it. Do not lose a sale because we don't have a policy in place. I said, I'll stand behind you 100% of the time, as long as it makes sense. And sometimes they make mistakes, but we learn from mistakes. So in reality, we've got to train our managers, and then our city manager needs to oversee his total people. And our city manager's been here, I think, 7 or 8 months now. He's still in the learning process. And we've got to get him taught. I mean, it's not my job to teach. He knows more about running a city than I do. All I do is make suggestions or send email. Like today, I probably sent 5 different emails on issues that needed to be taken care of. From potholes. We've got some big potholes out there. They need fixed. We did buy 3 new pieces of equipment to work on. In fact, I even drove one and fixed a pothole myself. It wasn't as pretty as theirs, but I think I could do it with a few more days of training. Thank y'all. Yes.
According to my husband, they're already broke.
They're already broke. I'd like to know about that. I need to find out more about that. I can't believe they're broke. Really?
Period testing.
Wow, thank you for
That's why
telling
you
me.
need more training.
I guess I'm probably the one who broke it. I hate to admit that. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, well. So my farm was out in East Texas. A&M Commerce is where I first went to school. And I'm the son of an animal lover. At one point, my mom was, we had 19 dogs in the house. Because she made promises, right? So you're coming from somebody who has a heart for it, but also understands the fact that there needs to be management within it. Yes, the problem we ran into as well, I used to make jokes that we raised pigs, cattle, and dogs. Because every summer, it never failed that the kids from A&M Commerce would come 10 miles out in the country, and then the dogs that they couldn't take home that they had at their house there in Commerce, they dumped with us, or with our neighbors or everybody else. So I get it, understand it. I will say that one of the things that we had back in my hometown was that at any point in time, that if a dog came into the shelter, they were either spayed or neutered, whether you liked it or not. When you came to pick up your dog, part of the fine was a $45 fine, because that went to help the vet coalition that they had there that would come and do it as a humane society type thing. So whether you liked it or not, if you wanted your dog back, $45, that's what your adoption fee went to help. It was because if that dog was coming out of the pound, then that dog was going to be spayed or neutered. If at any point in time you had that happen, then you were put on a registry. And if it continued to happen, then guess what? You're losing your dog, right? If at any point in time you were found to have been reported for cruelty, it's found to be true, you're put on a registry, you're not getting a dog. Those are just little things, but at the same time, it's not a problem that we are ever going to fix, because there's always going to be irresponsible pet owners, and I hate that, but it's just the reality of the situation. Part of my platform is reducing the bureaucracy around City Hall. I'm not advocating for anybody to lose their jobs. I don't want people to lose their jobs, but by God, can we get some people reassigned, please, to actually service our city? Like I said, I found out from the rescue directors that I talked with, the director of the animal welfare, her background is in juvenile detention. Yes, can you learn the job? Yeah, but if you take an interest in learning the jobs versus saying, hey, let's make an appointment, or I'm not going to come pick up a dead animal, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and basically collect a paycheck. I don't want her to lose her job, but I definitely want her to be reassigned. That's what we have to do throughout City Hall, is we have to put pressure. Yes, it's not our job as city councilmen to sit there and get in the daily works, but I can put pressure on people, and I can say I expect results. And I think that that's what we really need to do moving forward, is set these expectations that things need to change. Employees should not be afraid to speak out. We should be fostering an open environment to sit there and say, this is a problem, this needs to change, without fear of retribution. Because if we don't have input from the people who are doing the job, then we'll never get better at what we're doing as a city, ever. And that's from streets to animal welfare to what we're doing as well as city councilmen. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
We're going to cut off this question because we have someone here that has an important topic they want to talk about. Yes, LaWanda. And then I'll give you a couple of minutes each to talk about it. And then we have one more question. And then we'll let you guys go if you need to go.
So, my name is LaWanda Mosley.
Do you want to come up here?
North of Pleasant Valley. I live Tascos Acres, which is north of the Loop and east. And I have been talking about this subject for the last 4 years. Tom Scherlen is very well aware of it. He's toured the area. Commissioner Coffey has toured our area. You want to talk about infrastructure problems, you want to talk about erosion problems, you come over to Tascos Acres. I can give you anything you want to know about how the drainage works in Amarillo. From T-Anchor to Thompson Park to Ross Rogers to Lawrence Lake to McCormick, you want to know where it goes, I can tell you. 3/4 of the water runs straight down here, Pleasant Valley, straight through Upper River Road, floods our area, straight down the back of our house with an easement that the city got in 1963. So we've been talking to these guys for 4 years. We have 10-foot sinkholes in our backyards. We've moved our buildings off of our banks. We've moved our fences. There's one family that's moved their fences 3 times. She's about to have to move it again. I've been there for 4 years. I've moved my fence already. We have dug our feet in, and I can tell you that my house will fall off into the creek in my lifetime. And I am not going to do anything to stop it. I have a $50,000 bid right now to fix my retaining wall. And I'm like, why should I fix that retaining wall when every single flood that happens in this town, they open the flood waters and it comes straight to the top line. They are all aware of it. Grayson's aware of it. Stanley's aware of it. Jared Miller was aware of it. Ginger Nelson's aware of it. When my house falls off, that will become the city's problem. The sinkholes that are in the backyards it's dangerous for the kids to play in their backyards. We can't even let our kids play in the backyards right now. You want to talk about infrastructure with sewer? We can show you that too. I can take you to every above ground sewer main that runs from Thompson Park all the way probably to the reclamation plant. And they sit on concrete boulders that are cracking, and there's some of them that are about to fall off. You go just to Willow Vista School, which the city owns that park. There's an above ground sewer line that runs past that place. City bought easement rights. Took them 5 years to even do anything with that. By the time they fixed it, they had boarded up the sewer main on the concrete pillar to keep it from falling off and breaking. Texas Environmental Quality Control knows who I am. Everybody at City Hall knows who I am. All of the flood managers know who I am. They all know our paths. So when you talk about building on the north side and you talk about bringing this side up to code, you really need to tour the area. I don't know that there's anything that you guys could do to help it, because right now we're hiding behind city easements law, but there is encroachment happening, but we're going to wait a little bit longer. David, I know you know a lot about the Texas Environmental Quality Control, and you talked about water quality. Amarillo East Creek has the worst water quality in the Texas Panhandle, including Lake Meredith. I've attended the last 2 years of the meetings. I went to one, I guess it was about a month ago. I take off work, I sit through it. They have somebody who has the rights to dump into the Amarillo East Creek. And that's my next. I just haven't had time to slow down. I got to take care of my customers. That's next on my list. I want to know who has the right to dump into the Amarillo East Creek that pollutes that we have the worst water quality. You have a nitrate that is so high that the guys from the Red River Water Quality Control says your children should not be in that water. Those children get in that water. Your children that are here, they get in those creeks. When those creeks are running, they think it's fun. I'm telling you, you
Why
keep your
can't this
children.
be taken care of? This is ridiculous.
We don't have enough money, but I'll tell you what happened to me last time. Yeah. So they wanted to fix the 34th and Grand Creek because of erosion, which is what we've been talking about for 4 years. I called down there and I said, and it's in Grayson's email, and I said, what are you doing? Why did you approve this one? And what is the difference between that creek and the Amarillo East Creek?
Location.
Donors.
Location.
Grants.
It's you can see it. You can't see ours unless you go down. You can't see the creek because it's behind our house. They pulled the project. Why'd they pull the project? Tom, you might know why they pulled the project. I haven't been told that. I'm waiting on that answer.
I think after your
Yes,
phone call, you got pulled.
You got pulled. But I just want to let you guys know that there is a serious infrastructure problem going down the north side. And when you start building, it's going to crash.
So what is the dumping? Who's dumping?
Who's what?
Who is dumping? Who's
I
allowing?
don't know who's dumping yet. I don't know who has,
So
I don't know who has they have the, I don't know who it is, because they have a permit. And I don't know who the permit is, I don't know who has it yet, because I haven't inquired.
So are we looking at nitrates only, or are we looking at E. coli?
Nitrate, chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll.
I think it's
So
chlorophyll.
that's a hazardous waste. So
And it comes off, it's noted, but you probably know who they are, David. It's Red River Canadian Water Authority. So they do all of the pools for all of the Texas Panhandle. It's those guys. It's in the report. I have it. You could have it.
I would love
The
to
whole
know.
room. You
Yeah.
can have it. You call me. I'll take anybody in this room down that pathway. But it tells you that is one, it's dumping, and two, it's coming from Thompson Park, which is probably coming off of the Ross Rogers Golf Course, which that is city owned.
Are y'all's children or anybody having health issues?
So this is non-negotiable.
No.
This is non-negotiable. We live in a country, we have clean water, we have clean air, and we have infrastructure. We don't allow in any civilized nation or any civilized city raw wastewater to be discharged to playas. We do not allow individuals to dump into our creeks, to run into our drinking water systems. These are federal laws that have to be enforced. This is what makes America great, that we have the ability to grow old and trust the water that we drink and know that our waste is going to the right spots. I want to know more about this. And from an environmental, 30 years in the environmental industry, this is not acceptable, and it is not what we are doing in this country. Thank you for sharing that. We had a question.
I was just gonna say, I retired from River Road Reclamation Plant.
Yes, sir.
And, our plant would crash. We knew somebody was dumping.
Right.
Because it would destroy our treatment, our plant would crash.
Right.
And there was never
any investigation or looking.
Never seemed to be, because I was an operations supervisor. I wasn't like a big shot. But
right.
There never seemed to be a interest in finding out who was dumping, where they were dumping. And in our world today, I don't see that shouldn't be that hard of a thing, because there's 9 million gallons a day average flowing out of that plant,
right,
going to the middle of nowhere, that could be coming right back here.
Right.
It'd be expensive and whatnot, but what she's saying is right. There's dumping that's going on in the system. It crashes the plant, and then you've got to do all kinds of work to rectify that. But it should never happen in the first place.
So when I go back to when you heard me speak early about being appointed at the Texas Board of Professional Geoscientists, we work hand in hand with the TCEQ, which is the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, which is our state's EPA. This is totally unacceptable. It's probably criminal if the numbers are, as you're saying, and this needs to be investigated immediately.
Absolutely.
And for our children to be swimming in this water, or if it's going in or it's migrating in to the aquifer, any of those nature, this all needs to be fixed. Two distinct questions. That's paramount. I can't wait to learn more about that. And then how do we get the erosion issue taken care of, and how do we make that safe? I don't know, but I want to see it, and I want to take a look at it. When we talk about the River Road plan, just as we talk about Hollywood Road, this has been 60 years of being kicked down the road. This is, we just don't take care of it. In 2018, there was a report that came out that said we have to start informing the citizens of what this cost is going to be. And at that point, it was $400 million just for Hollywood Road. When you start talking about all these manholes that are eroding and all this infrastructure, is it cheaper now to do it? Or would it have been better to have done this in 2010? I think, Tom, you said some of the last things that we looked at, 1960, 1993. I challenge all of you, Google City of Amarillo wastewater spills and see how many spills we have had since 2010. City of Amarillo wastewater spills since 2010. And look at what comes up. And tell me that council after council after council has not known this was an issue. Is it sexy to build a wastewater treatment plant? We're going to have $800 million at Hollywood Road to take care of the stuff south of I-40. We're not even talking about you guys as community and what needs to be done. Is that another $800 million? It probably could be, to get the growth we need. When we talk to the city folks that are responsible for this, I think I might have said it a minute ago, we have to, so if we're at 80% capacity, we have 12 million gallons going through Hollywood Road. That's what we're permitted for. That's what that facility can carry. So if we're at 9 million, that's 75% capacity. What happens if Bell comes out and they need 1.5 million? What if Boeing shows up and needs 1 million, and we have to say no because we haven't taken care of the basic needs of this city? How good does Bell pay? How good does Boeing pay? And who knows what else? How good does Sisike pay? You're here because Sisike was able to join through the ADC And that added a load. So every time we talk about job growth, if we don't have our foundation and our homework done, we're going to have to turn them away. That's just basic. I mean, it's like our homes. If our hot water heater's out, do we fix our hot water heater? We do. If there's a hole in the roof, we fix it. That's exactly what we're talking about, and why for decade after decade has this city not taken care of the basics. And is your tax bill going down? Is your property tax bill going down? Hell no, they're not going down. They're going up and up and up. So why do we not get the basic services we need with everything going up so much? Yes, sir.
So all these things, I mean, obviously there's tons of work to be done in every area in the city. How is it going to be paid for?
That's a multi-billion-dollar question.
How is it going to be covered? You know, what's your thoughts on getting these things done? Is it grants? Is it government?
This is, just very quickly, because I want everyone else to have an opportunity to talk, but let's look at this. So we hear that Ronnie Jackson has given us $38 million. Current council tells us that we have $38 million. It has been appropriated, but if you ask anybody at city council, has the check arrived? Tom, has the check arrived? No, the check hadn't arrived. But you'll hear the current mayor say over and over and over again, we have $38 million from Ronnie Jackson. Are we in an environment in Washington, D.C. right now where they're letting any money go? DOJ is a great thing. They're cutting the waste. But are they going to send $400 million to Amarillo to fix a wastewater treatment plant that we should have been taking care of? Is Austin going to give us a whole bunch of money? Is all the grants that we're going to go for give us a bunch of money? I hope they do. But what happens when we reach capacity at 90% with the TCEQ and we have to, by law and federal law, fix that one plant, not this plant? I mean, there's a number floating around that it could be north of $44 billion to get all of the infrastructure needed in Amarillo. And we have just kicked the can down the road for 40 years.
So are you saying you need to find out when Ronnie Jackson is going to get y'all the money?
If elected, that would be my first question. Because everybody says we're using $38 million from Ronnie Jackson, current council, and that is what is allowing us to use Kimley Horn to give us an assessment. The mayor says it over and over and over again. If you ask the folks at the city hall, there is no check there.
Well, can I ask, and this is for everybody, I'm sorry, I'm not part of your community, but I'm loving y'all's community. And I hope every one of y'all get elected, but I know somebody's not gonna get elected. But my question is, let's just start with you. If you're not elected, are you still gonna help with your knowledge with some of this information?
We love, that is what I built my career on, not just in Amarillo, but it is safe drinking water.
Giving the city advice on things?
I would love to. And we serve on, absolutely.
Right, okay.
And on that, all of these individuals are fantastic. Anybody that throws their name into the ring in this butt kicking, and it's a butt kicking. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's very challenging. The question is, with what we have going on right now in the city, who is the best team? When you see this slate deal, that this is the only 5 people that are gonna make a difference, do you win the Super Bowl with the 5 people that started? You know, the question becomes, who are the best and most qualified individuals to deal with the problems we have? And then when that season is over and we have a whole new set of problems, at that moment you bring in those experts. It's called subject matter experts. And when the problems are presented, you give those individuals their time. And then when it's another set of problems, you let those folks take it. It is not a lifetime. Cincinnatius, the Roman emperor. Yeah, that's it.
I have a question, since you're into wastewater.
Yes.
We have a pipeline going out north of town
Right.
that is supposed to take water from Hollywood up through East Ridge, up to the reclamation plant, where he used to work.
Right.
How's that being funded?
I don't know. I can't tell you that because I'm not on that project, but I can find out. But how is that project? Tom, you might be able to answer
The
that.
city's paying for that.
The city's,
Well, I understand the city's paying for it, but it's like they're addressing the south side of town and bringing it to the north side of town.
The reason why, by doing this diversion, I'm taking 1.5 million gallons wastewater from Hollywood. It's a Band-Aid, that's what it is.
It's just giving us more runway at Hollywood.
Yeah, and what they're trying to do is relieve the Hollywood Road plant by moving it here. This plant here, according to the information I got, can handle another 1.5 million gallons, whereas Hollywood cannot handle anymore.
And so we're just passing the
Someone
buck.
right here said that it fails quite often.
That's what you just said.
We got dumped on once or twice a month, and the entire plant crashed.
Yeah.
And hats off to you for keeping it running, because it is it's a tough job.
There, and that's.
The guys that saved Hollywood when the flood happened, those guys are up to their elbows, just like you are. And you're doing everything you can with not enough resources to keep this city. And it's
Everything's low bid.
Yeah, it's that's
Always low.
What are you going to get with low bid?
You're not going to get what you
I mean, Kim.
All right, so we'll kind of piggyback off what David said. So I'm just going to use a cliche. The first step to recovery is admission that you got a problem, right? Some of these things are new to every one of us. Listening to what the issues were, I thought they were basic issues when I talked with you.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking major issues. You know, she's talking about houses falling off their cliffs because of sinkholes. So my first thought was, what geological study was done before they put a development out there and started building houses, right? So, I mean, the issues just compound themselves as you kick it down. And we all admit, past councils for the last 50 years have kicked the can down on certain things here in this town, right? We don't have an infinite budget. It's finite, right? 6 years ago, I sat down with Mayor Nelson and I told her we are living on an artificially low tax rate. And she said, "You're crazy." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Let's look at the things that have to be fixed." And you've just kicking things down. Our park system. When I moved here in 1986, we had beautiful parks. The parks looked like junk, right? Why? Because money was taken over the decades from the park system, and we are to put it here, we're going to put it there. It catches up with you. We want companies and families to move into this area so that we don't have to raise our tax rate, because that's the only way you do it, right? They're not going to come if this town looks like it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here, almost 40 years, 1986, 40 years next year. From the time I came here in 86 to now, it's a dirty city. Because we've grown. We were 140,000 when I got here. We're at 203. And actually more when you take what's built out in the county areas, right? So, but now we have an admission that we've got serious problems. I don't know what the answer is. That's not my expertise. And that's what you have to look at, is where are people's expertise on the issues that are most concerning to us right now. And subject matter experts are great. And that's where the citizens come in. These are the type of meetings, meetings at City Hall, they're choreographed. You have your time to speak, and then they go through the thing. And that's not anything against it. That's the process. Those are the rules. These are the meetings where you learn what's going on and what has to be addressed and what needs to be fixed. And there's not a single person up here that has the answer for that. Any of these issues. Because it's something you got to go back and talk with the city manager and say, okay, do we have the right people? Do we have the right equipment? Do we have the things that we can do that are going to address these issues?
Yes. I'm just curious because I've been listening to a lot of the concerns in various parts of the city, especially here on the north side. I saw you guys last night. I'm curious, what is the priority list? Because I want the parks to be pretty too, but that means nothing if we're breathing in deadly sewage.
Exactly.
And that seems to never be the priority.
Yep.
What is the priority list?
So, I mean, if you're asking me that the first priority for a vibrant city is water. Now, we live in a semi-arid area. And so that's automatically a top issue. You can't live without water. None of us can. So you have to have water. You need water to remove the waste. So that's the second biggest issue, is how we get rid of our waste. Then it's where we go from there. Really, when we look at what the major concerns are in the city, potholes shouldn't be at the top of the list right now. Not with the issues that are going on. They are issues. You have issues in this community that the city can't answer for because you're dealing with a school district and the city has no control over that, right? Because they're independent school districts and the things that they're doing, right? I just saw the report today. Your kids are going to an F-rated school.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, they ain't going.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, they ain't going. I'm a hell of a teacher. So.
She was too.
But I mean, those are, you have to look at, even for your community, what are the issues here that are of such concern for you?
How are we gonna be ready for when the Port of Plains comes through? I saw where the mayor went to the ribbon cutting with the wastewater treatment, I mean, the flooding on the side of town and everything. How we're gonna be
ready. Well, if we continue kicking the can down the road, we will not be ready. And so we have to address, we like to say we have 300 years worth of water rights. Well, we do. We have the rights. That doesn't guarantee that we have water. Right? So we're always looking for that thing that's going to save us and bring it here into town, that business. And that's why I've run on, let's take care of what we have first. Because if we do that, if we take care of the things here, that'll come automatically. Businesses will come, families will come, if we take care of this. You go downtown Amarillo, there's still piping from the original wood pipes under the streets. Think about that. What's going to happen? What happens to downtown?
Well, the library closes down for the Somerville part.
Right? So, I mean, it has a building effect. And so, we've got to get a council that is going to address issues. And you're right, you have to prioritize. That's one of the biggest things. And that's why I believe every year you start and you say, what are our priorities for this year? There are some that you're going to carry over from the year before, but every year is not the same. You learn something new about your city and parts of your city. This has to be attacked. We've got to take care of this problem. Well, that means we don't take care of this year.
We need to quit taking care of downtown. It's pretty enough. It's like, quit that. Let's take care of our citizens.
It's a triage mentality. You have to look at, when you ask that question, it's a triage mentality. When we go if we go into the hospital, we've been in a car wreck. Are we going to worry about fingernails? Or are we going to worry about lungs that are punctured? Are we going to worry about brain injury? What is the triage for this city? And that gives us the baseline where the spin needs to be so we can all be successful. That's how you identify where the priorities are for all of us.
But that's exactly what these two gentlemen have said that they were doing. They've walked the streets, right? You've triaged Pleasant Valley.
Assess it.
Assess
You have to
it.
assess the
And,
environment, yeah.
and the question goes to Tom Scherlen because, okay, so this is called Safe Street Project, and they paid attention to North Heights area. This is on Northeast 24th, permanent sidewalks. And you guys said, we have so much problems here. Sidewalks aren't one of them.
But the roads aren't wide enough for the.
Yeah, and why are we assessing if we're doing our job as council and city managers and we're doing the assessments and the surveys, why are we giving them sidewalks versus all of the other needs that need to be met? And I do understand Misty made a valid point that it's the council fighting against the city managers, but something's gotta give. We got to work for the people.
Yes.
And if the city council that we elect won't do that, and we're doing projects on sidewalks because of grants, I would assume because of grants, and we're choosing to do it in certain areas versus the ones that really need it, I mean, something's gotta give. We gotta start assessing, like you said, and like you guys have attempted to do, and then come up with logical, common sense solutions.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your.
What question are we on right now?
We're having a discussion.
everything but.
Run out of time, so we're gonna have to cut with the crosstalk, I'm sorry. And just let each of these guys answer the questions that we're on right now, which is with the, with the Port of Plains coming, how is Pleasant Valley gonna be ready? Because this is a Pleasant Valley meeting.
Yeah, so when it comes to Horse Plains, and honestly, I think just about every one of us cold-heartedly could probably sadly say, we're not ready. We're not set up for that. We don't have the infrastructure for it. As David pointed out, yeah, I work at Cacique. I can tell you when it comes to wastewater, I have become a very big expert the past year. And how many times I've had the city down at the plant weekly, interestingly enough. Now we have a bladder. We don't even feed water back to the city anymore. But yet they're there every week inspecting. Are they up here?
You should ask them to come inspect.
To be fair, even the dumping, the water dumping,
They don't even show
we actually have to go to City Hall and request permits from City Hall to have the truckers that are actually pulling from our frac tanks, shipping some side down in Odessa Midland area where they can do that, where they are permitted to do that. So there's actually, City Hall knows where people are dumping.
They do.
They know.
We'll know.
They have to. They have to. So it's shocking that you can't get that
No,
information.
I'll get it. I just haven't had time since that water meeting. The
Yeah.
other thing is the city, you're talking about the city and permits and being able to do things. Y'all have the same problem here. We can't get into the area because our contractors say, oh, that's an easement right, but then the city says, oh, that's your land, but you have to get permits to even work on your own land because of the water right. It's a messed up problem.
Yeah, that comes,
They all have it too.
yeah, that's a,
Your infrastructure
the back
is
end.
bad. Why are they building?
So,
That's where that kick in the can,
yeah, so
that they'll
in-
figure out there.
when it comes down to it, even we can go back to the whole ports of Plains as well. I mean, infrastructure is going to be on everybody, one of us. And quite frankly, I appreciate the information. I'm actually as curious as David is really to see that. I did not believe that would be an issue. But I can see that just walking and driving the neighborhood around here, how very hilly it is, how beautiful. I can see how that's an issue with erosion. Ports of Plains, we're not ready right now. Now, I know a question came across one day, actually online. They asked me, well, what are we going to do about potentially the issue of the government wanting to come in and actually take your property because they need to expand the interstate? Quite frankly, looking at this interstate or this highway, they should not have to come to do that. It's wide enough to build that structure. We should not have to go into the community that have this back and forth. Well, this is county, this is state, this is city. There shouldn't be this kicking the can and pointing the finger at each other. Somebody has to take ownership.
So they're not gonna take eminent domain down 287, but they're taking eminent domain down 335.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let you know.
And that's,
They will.
they will. Luckily, my best man was a lawyer for the state of Texas. And that's actually one thing he did is get out of the state of Texas to defend people for eminent domain. Because he did not feel it was right. So there's so many nuances to this expansion that we have to really dig. We've got to get the information. When it comes to these sidewalks, honestly, when it comes back to how many responses they got on that particular platform, online. They're going to look at those. That's the responses they got. We wanted more sidewalks. That the quote unquote majority, that's what the response was. But it's not what's wanted by coming out here and actually asking the community, walking the community and see, you know what, it's not needed. And that's one thing I do share. I know I share with Tom. There's wants and needs. Do we really need sidewalks here? The community says no, we don't need them. Why should we even focus on that? That's a
We
moot
might
point.
need them, it's just that wipe out our front yards and some of our trees are 60 years old and they would be gone.
Being in the plains, you can't get rid of trees.
No, let's go on.
It makes
We're
my
running out
alley
of
a
time.
very minute problem.
You're a good moderator. You're doing good.
I'll make mine real short. And you've heard me from the dais in the last 3 to 6 months. The one question I ask, is this a need or is it a want? And we've got to get to focusing on needs and not wants. we've spent too many years paying for wants that we don't need. And that's where a lot of money's going. And that's basically what I want to say about it.
I like what you said about we didn't need a new city hall, that they should have just.
We didn't need a new city hall. I will tell you, in fact, can I finish here?
Yeah, go for it.
To be perfectly truthful, we cut, I think it was 10 to 12 million out of the city hall. We took out the parking garage that was already put in there. We took out 3 drive-through lanes to pay your bills, because everybody else in town, you either pay with your phone, you mail it in, or you drop it by. You don't have to use a drive-through. I mean, even Excel, they don't take money anymore like that. So in reality, we cut money out of that city hall, but we were to a point, the contract was already signed. So we cut it back as much as we could, and we saved us 10 million, I think. From the numbers I got, that's what I was told. Sorry.
You're good. Okay, so Ports of Plains, are you ready? I'll keep this very on point. Are you ready? No. Okay. Is it coming? Yes. How do we get to where we need to be? First off, like they said, we have to build within, because we cannot tie new infrastructure in with old infrastructure. It's just not going to work pressure-wise. It's not going to do any of that stuff. My dad's an environmental safety and health manager. I've lived this I'm 38 years old. I've lived it for 38 years. He was a geologist with ExxonMobil back in the 80s. But so how do we get to that point? It's going to be getting creative. We're going to have to go get grants from a state level. We're going to have to go get grants from a federal level. But what I want to do at a city level, and this is where my master's in finance comes into play, when I hear governmental accounting, I automatically think, okay, where are they hiding the money, right? Which we found that these departments have been rat-holing money, okay? That's where we're finding $34 million, $2 million, $500,000, whatever it might be. So what can we do? Okay, there's 2 ways that we can do this: zero-based budgeting, incentive-based budgeting. Okay, run it like a company. Stop making it governmental finance. Okay, right. Zero-based budgeting requires that every single department in City Hall comes back and tells us they need this money because I'm going to spend it on this, and this. And then they have to show us, okay, I only spent this, the X amount. Just because you put it in your budget doesn't mean it's not a pay to play to sort of win. Or incentive-based budgeting, to where you hit these certain milestones, you get X amount extra dollars, right? For, let's say, roads, okay, you have to repair 95% of what you count as a goal, and then you move forward. So we put it for north side, right? That's my priority. I want growth to happen, but we have to be ready to go, right? Which means that we're going to have to focus north of I-40. I live in Sleepy Hollow. It is what it is. I used to live in Plymouth Eagle. My business has blessed me to be able to move to that part of town where I'm at right now. We're good, right? We can focus, and I will take the darts from the people that are in the south to sit there and say, we have to focus on other parts of the city. I don't need you fixing 18 potholes in my alley that don't need to be fixed right now, right? I can take my weed eater and my lawnmower to get some of the stuff in the alleyways. We have to move up to the north. That's my priority, because if we're going to make real growth happen, just like Tim said, real growth is happening, and it's coming to the north side, whether we like it or not, because we can't go south anymore. We can't go west. We can't do any of that stuff. So we have to get y'all ready. That's where my priority is going to be.
So as a taxpayer, just like y'all, I would ask myself a few questions. Why has the city let this place deteriorate? What are they putting in that they want? And why are they not taking care of the things that we want? These are the kind of questions you need to start asking yourself. As a mayor, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're taken care of. I want your voice to be heard. I'm tired of people not listening to me, and I want you to be listened to. I would be honored with your vote. That's my answer.
ask a question to the group? This is probably the most fantastic, the most fantastic. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Wait, we just wanted her to talk about her.
There was
nonprofit.
something that I think would tie in with all y'all's stuff.
Yeah.
We heard last night.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we are really running out of time, and we still had a couple of our own specific topics for Pleasant Valley we needed to speak on. If we have to, we'll have another community meeting and talk some more.
This is fantastic. I applaud everyone in this room. We have been, how many events have we been to, guys?
Yeah.
And we get 2 minutes. There are these questions that are already formulated, geared towards a certain side. You guys have something very special here. This is incredible. This is incredible that you are coming out, asking questions and caring. And so the question is, what do you guys want to have when Ports to Plains comes through? What does that mean? What does that mean for your community? Do you want to have the ability to get off I-27 and be able to have a large shipping area? What do you want to have? And you guys need to be building towards that instead of waiting on a road to come through or a road that might bypass you and you don't get anything. But if you're on the forefront and with this planning, what do you want to happen with Ports to Plains? How is it going to affect your community that you guys know the most about? That is the question. How can we answer what the Ports to Plains is going to do for you? Because we're up here thinking, well, hell, you want guttering and you want sidewalks. We don't want that. But what do you want out of Ports to Plains, and what is going to move the needle for you? And then how can we help you do that? What do you want? How do you want to make this community thrive? Because there's resources there to get it done. But you decide what you want to do, and then we'll help you do it. But I commend you all. This has been the best debate I've been to in 90 days. Thank you.
Thank all of you for coming, really, and all of you too for participating. And speaking of participation, I have here some Pleasant Valley River Road Planning Committee volunteer membership forms. Because if we don't have a good 8 solid board members, this initiative plan will never take off the ground and we will not get anything done out here. So if you would like to help us out here in Pleasant Valley and be a 2-year committed member, a volunteer, please grab one of these from me and we'll get together later and let's talk about how we're going to revitalize Pleasant Valley along with whoever wins the next council. Because I want Pleasant Valley to be here another 100 years. And if they really do close Pleasant Valley Elementary, I want to be able to say then 2-3 years that we have our community built back up so we can have our school open back up. Because as we know, ASD board said they're not going to do anything with the building. They're going to keep the heat on, electricity on, lights on, insurance paid. It's still going to be running the same as is. They're just simply not going to let the teachers and the students in, and I think that's wrong.
That doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. How does that make sense? How are they going to save $1 million from our little school by just simply moving the teachers and the students to an F-rated school?
You guys got to get that in writing. You've got to get that in writing.
Oh, we've asked. Yeah. I have it recorded because Chanel and I, we had a at Palace Coffee meeting with them, who they happen to pay $15,000 a month to for coffee. So I recorded it, and that's what they told us, that they're gonna leave the lights on. They're gonna have security. There's gonna be a custodian in case a water line busts. They're gonna have people in it, custodians in it, but just simply not allowing the students and the teachers in. They want our kids to go. Yeah, moving the teachers and the students. Yeah, nobody's losing their job, thank goodness. But why are they gonna keep the building as is and simply moving the students? It's an A-rated school. It's a great environment. Our kids are thriving in this particular environment, and they want to move them to an F-rated school.
I'll tell y'all, and this is a shameless plug for Tom Warren. He's the only one at the forum the other night who called that out.
Yes, Tom Warren, he called them out on their supposed budget balance, and he is the only one that stood up and said, I'm not for school closing. Because behind them on the prompter, it said 5 to 7 more schools are closing. So we're just the first ones on the chopping block. We will not be the only ones. We gotta make ASD accountable for their budget, overspending on employees' health insurance just because they don't like somebody.
Are those schools in that area, in this area?
Travis, yes, 6th grade. Allen, 6th grade, yes. Mesa Verde, Lamar, and these are all Potter County schools.
So,
And the majority of them also over 50% Hispanic population.
so like I said earlier to y'all, that's what y'all need to be asking yourselves. Why this area?
Yeah,
What is
why-
going on?
Yes.
Somebody's trying to take.
Well, they're trying to take
A land
away.
grab.
They're
Yeah.
trying to get people
Yeah.
out, exactly what they're doing, because these are ranches around here.
And then like Sunrise is over by Highland Park where they're building all that new buildings and stuff, and that's another one they're closing.
So I guess the question for me, that's, again, Tim alluded to it, they're independent school districts. How can we, as council members, how do you see us being advocates for that, knowing that there's not a whole lot we can do? So how do you all see us fulfilling that advocacy role?
You have to.
Speaking out for your
follow the
community.
money and stand up to these donors that are funding so many campaigns right now. Those donors are running the show.
But as far as AISD,
Same thing, though.
I've read in different articles where city leaders stood up for their citizens, for the children, and told their independent school districts, stop the madness. Why are you closing this school? This is an A-rated school. Stand up for your citizens.
So here's the answer. Here's an answer. If we have infrastructure that's in place and we're able to build here and we're not seeing all the kids go outside, like I said earlier, where there's wells and septic systems outside the city. Canyon doesn't have this problem. They can't keep there's too many kids in the schools.
Yeah,
So
we
if
have
the
a lot of
city-
Kenyan schools in Amarillo.
Yeah, so how do we get the infrastructure right here taken care of, which we should have done, and then we could have development. And we would have enough kids to fill these schools. And we would have development going on over and over again. But when we don't have the kids, they have to make that decision. And it's an economic decision. How do we combat that? We take care of the infrastructure. We are allowed to build new homes. And then the families come in and our communities thrive. If we don't take care of the very basics,
Well, right
it's
here,
not gonna change.
it's basics, we have a lot of empty homes. And Mr. Poindexter, I think he left. Yeah, well, I mean, he's remodeling homes left and right, but we need the families to come in and move into them.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to go.
Okay, no, that's fine, we
I'm
understand.
sorry.
Yeah, well, this is running a little later than I expected, but y'all feel free to
You
talk.
throw one heck of a party.
We do.
Yeah, y'all
We
throw one
do.
heck of a party
Yeah,
over here.
we do, it's
So-
all of us.
You know, I spent 9 years on the Canyon School Board. And the first question we asked when we were repositioning students, right, was, would it be easier to redraw lines? That's the easiest thing to do. You're gonna get a kickback from it. We're not in that district and but once it all settled down and you realized, oh wait, we're no longer in a school that's 200 kids, it's 150, and this one's 170, and this one's only 140, and all three survived and thrived. That was an easy decision. So the first thing, and that's something that I think I would be really pushing the school board on, is, did you look at redrawing the lines first?
Well, see, the vineyards is, but in
With a
right up Broadway, the vineyards.
Right.
They go all the way to,
You go all the way.
to
We have them on the
Days
vineyard.
of Olive.
To Days of Olive, right.
All they had to do was redistrict the vineyards, but they say, I've heard
That
that
contract.
the contractor made a deal to build that complex
Uh-huh.
and not, the kids could go that way.
Your kids
And-
don't have to go over here if you'll
Yeah.
buy.
If you'll buy this land there.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
only 1 mile away compared to 5 miles.
Right.
And, I mean, I taught at Bivens, and when our area got fewer kids, they just went out and got some more kids.
Right.
By redistricting,
Mhm.
so.
I mean, that's
It can be.
it's a simple answer.
Yeah.
It's logic.
And once you start closing things, there's never an end to it. It does snowball. And you're seeing that effect now. It's, there's not an easy answer to what your predicament is. One is, the decision was already made by the outgoing superintendent. And so, that's, you don't want to badmouth him. He was a good guy. He did great things for the district. But as a last thing, and I would be reapproaching the new superintendent.
I've emailed her. I've got no response.
I know. But as I did an experiment with my students at school. With the class I taught, and we were talking about the 60s and the demonstrations that went on. And I asked them, I said, what is something that you'd be willing to give your life for here at the school? And 7th grade kids, they said, well, we don't get to use the commons at lunchtime, but once a week. And the other grades all get it 4 days a week. I said, you're willing to die for that? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, let's protest it. We're going to do a protest. But in order to do a protest, you have to let people know what your problem is. So I said, you're going to have to draw up something and go to the dean of students and tell her what the problem is. Well, they not only didn't draw up a plan, they came up with 3 solutions and took it to her. 3 solutions.
Yep.
She said, well, I'm going to have to talk to the head of school. I said, well, you're the dean, right? Make the decision. Well, no, I think this has to. So the head of school went over there and he said, any one of these 3 would work, right? So we went back to class. I said, now, if they don't allow you this, what are you willing to do? They said, well, we're going to do a sit-in. I said, okay, where are you going to do this? Well, out in the commons. We're going to go take over the commons and we're going to sit there and make them force us back into class, right? And I was trying to teach them that you have to be active when you have a protest.
Yes.
And I throw that out because you may have to go sit in front of AISD.
We might have to help you.
And Tom will appreciate me bringing up. We have a homeless guy that sits out in front of City Hall.
Yes.
Kip and I are friends, right? Because I have a heart for the homeless. But he did it religiously, day in, day out, rain and snow. And he got some things done. Not all to his liking, but things got done. And, my suggestion to you guys is,
The
if
news
you have
should have
to,
covered that.
should have covered what?
The news should have covered that.
Oh, and I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Luckily, Michael's here. But
I forgot.
no, but our journalism has changed from the time I was a young kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's changed. And you don't see the reporting on those type of issues and asking the question, why are you doing this? It's not happening.
It's because of the money.
We've
Because
asked
people
the
will pay
news to talk to
to
us
shut
about the
people
school
up.
closings and crickets.
So, I mean, there's.
I get this. I took a whole bunch of kindergartners to save our zoo.
Yeah.
When my kid, they're 40 now, but when they were like.
But see,
I was on the board of Zoo Friends at the time to save the zoo.
We were at the courthouse square with a whole bunch of little ones, homemade,
Yep.
and we saved the zoo.
I remember that.
So we just might.
Well, the problem
And
is that some of the parents, most of the parents say, oh, it's a done deal. So they don't think they have anything to fight for. They don't understand they do have a voice for their children. We need to empower those parents and let them know if we stand together and we yell out enough, maybe AISD will actually listen to us.
Chair out here.
Funny you should ask that. We currently do not have one. So we are in the process of nominating or trying to find somebody to volunteer to be our precinct chair.
Cause y'all got a lot going on. You
Yeah.
just gotta put it together.
Yes, that's why I have these volunteer forms for anybody that lives in Pleasant Valley, River Road, that wants to be on our initiative board. And even if those of you at home listening, get in contact with me through Facebook, Hope C. McCoy, and let's get you signed up. Let's get the parents together
for Pleasant Valley, and let's fight for the right for our kids to go to an A-rated school, not an F school.
Amen.
Okay, does